Hi, my name is Danny Padron. I'm a proud graduate of the class of 1969 at John Jay High School, the first graduating class. I'd like to share my story with you. As a freshman in high school, our family was in the military and we lived all over the world. We spent a year at Wichita Falls, Hershey High School, my freshman year. Then we went to Homestead Air Force Base in South Dade, Florida, and I went to South Dade High School for my sophomore year. Father realized that this was not Texas football, and we got a chance to get back to San Antonio, and John Jay opened that first year. And so military school, all of us were connected to the Air Force, and so my junior and senior year I was at John Jay High School. Had an opportunity to play all three sports there, football, basketball, and baseball, for some great coaches. And those coaches made a difference in my life. Alvin Pee Wee Woods, Bill Tilton, Bill Horland was our head baseball coach, Jerry Mason, a lot of the coaches there that made a difference in my life. My mother was Italian. She came from Udine, Italy, and so she had plans for me to be a doctor. I was a good student. I ended up being fourth in my class, and so I was designed to be a doctor. And then my junior year, after our football season and baseball season was going through, we got a chance to visit Southwest Texas State, and I knew then that I didn't want to be a doctor. I wanted to go ahead and go into athletics. Coaches were the difference in my life, and I wanted to be like them. So they influenced me. When my mother found out, she was really upset, but my dad, kind of stuck up for me, and coaching was where I wanted to be.
Hi, my name is Willie Franzen, and I've been a part of Northside School District for over 50 years. And a little bit of my history is I went to elementary school at Leon Valley Elementary, which is now Northside Learning Center. I went to middle school, or junior high back then it was called, at Pat Neff Middle School, and high school at John Marshall High School. Those were my three stops in Northside as a student. I then went on and became a coach. I went to St. Mary's University first, played baseball for them, became a coach in Northside. Started at Marshall High School, went back to my old stomping grounds, and for a couple of years, took a couple of years outside of Northside, Hondo High School, and then came back the rest of my career at Clark High School. Went into administration and worked at Health Careers, Stevenson Middle School, Conley Middle School, and finished my career at Stinson Middle School as the principal. When I was a kid growing up, I always was involved in athletics. I went to a little church, Swedish church in San Antonio called Ascension Lutheran. And at that church, we had people like Paul Taylor was a member, and Cliff and Marvin Gustafson were members, and we were all family members. We all went to all the different events together, and every event involved some sort of sports. And I knew at a really young age that I just loved sports, and in particular, I loved baseball. And I was fortunate enough to be involved with the Northwest Little League, played baseball for Jimmy Davenport and some of the guys there who just helped me just learn to love the game. And so I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be involved with athletics in some way, in some form. And of course, way back then, you're thinking professional, but I soon became to realize that really I wanted to be a coach. And I can't tell you exactly when that was, but I was involved around coaches so much, it just was part of me, part of who I was. And so as the years went on, I also enjoyed mathematics. I was good in classroom, and I was fortunate to be good in math. And there was a teacher at Neff Middle School by the name of Ms. Watson. I don't remember her first name, but Ms. Watson, mean, tough, good lady. Very hard but very fair and honest, and she took me under her wing and just provided me the confidence I needed to go on and do the rest of it. And so it's kind of interesting that a math teacher in middle school would have such an impact on someone who really wanted to be a coach or be involved in athletics.
My name is Kevin Hamilton. I'm a 1980 graduate of Clark High School. Went to Northside schools all the way through as a Northside product. Started off at Colonies North Middle School my 2nd through 5th grade years. Our principal at the time was Jim Carson. My PE teachers were Ms. Rogers and Ms. Deckard. I remember them well. Moved on from Colonies North and went to Hobby Middle School my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years. Jay Dubose was our principal at Hobby during my time there as the mid-70s. Went through a number of coaches there, from Wes Wolfshaw to Terry Hall, Lloyd Alexander, Frank Trevino, Paul Langner. A lot of influence on my life by those coaches. After Hobby, went to Marshall High School for 2 years, and then Clark High School was built, so I moved over to Clark. The first year that Clark opened, the 78-79 school year, was my junior year, and then 1980 I was part of the first graduating Clark at first graduating class at Tom C. Clark High School. Jerry Daniel was our principal at Clark at the time. Being involved in athletics at Clark, my basketball coach was Newton Grimes. My baseball coach was Danny Padron, who I later was fortunate enough to coach with. But after Clark moved on to Texas Lutheran College at the time, they are university now, but I still see them as TLC. After graduation from there, came back to Northside and was hired to teach and coach at Clark by C. Marvin Gustafson, was our athletic director at the time in Northside. Mike Robbins was our head football coach and athletic coordinator, and was hired to teach and coach there. Was there for a total of 24 years, the last 13 as the head boys basketball coach. At that point, I moved to the Northside ISD athletic office as an assistant athletic director. I was brought over there by George Short, who was the athletic director at the time, and then Stan Lang came in, and Stan has been our athletic director since that time. While coaching at Clark, was fortunate enough to work with some great men, some great mentors, coaching peers who I looked up to and learned a lot from and used during my time as a coach and as an athletic administrator. Like I said earlier, Mike Robbins was our head coach and athletic coordinator. What an influence on my life and an influence on my coaching, influenced my coaching philosophies. Danny Padron, who I'd played for, was now coaching with. Lloyd Alexander was our head coach at Clark. After Coach Robbins, I worked for Coach Alexander. What a great man. Danny Murphy was our head boys basketball coach during the 11 years that I was the assistant coach there. Learned so much from Coach Murphy. So I had the opportunity to work with great people, great influencers of kids, and was able to see firsthand how you're supposed to be as a coach. Worked with some great principals during my time teaching and coaching at Clark. Started off with Jerry Daniel, moved on to Phyllis Giffen, later Don Schmidt, Larry Martin, Brian Woods, Stan Lang, and throughout a lot of that time, Ken Patronella was our vice principal. Great people and great people to work with and learn from.
Hi, my name is Scott Barrett. I'm the current tennis coordinator for Northside Tennis Center here, and also Ian Marie as well here at Northside. I've been blessed to be a product of Northside schools. The elementary I went to was at Lock Hill Elementary off of De Zavala Road, and then I went to Rudder Middle School, where my mom taught there as well, and then opened up Stinson Middle School my 8th grade year, and then was blessed to attend Tom C. Clark High School for my high school career. I'd be remiss not to talk about a few individuals that have had a huge impact throughout my high school and elementary and middle school years. One of which, when I came down here to interview for the first time, I interviewed with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Brian Woods. And I remember going home after that interview, my very first interview, to possibly become the head tennis coach and social studies teacher at Clark, and talking to my wife and saying, I think think this Dr. Woods guy, I think he's going to probably move up pretty quickly in Northside. He had a lot to offer. And I could just tell he had that it factor. So I've been blessed to have the opportunity to see great leaders in action at Clark High School. Rest in peace. I had an incredible athletic coordinator, Lloyd Alexander, who really taught me the balance of family and work and the importance of that and how to manage that as a leader. So he was an incredible role model for me with that. I remember stressing about some parent issues at times on the tennis team, and he would look at me and say, "Go home and enjoy your family." And this is, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that big of a deal.
All right, hi, my name is Allison Briseno. I am a Northside product. I started at Oak Hills Terrace Elementary School. From there, I moved on to Pat Neff Middle School and then went to Marshall High School. I was a three-sport athlete in high school. I played volleyball, I played softball, and I also ran track. I had some great experiences through athletics. I was fortunate enough to receive an athletic scholarship to play softball at the University of the Incarnate Word. I was a 4-year starter there and started my degree plan, and I always knew that I wanted to do something with kids. I wanted to work with kids. I had planned on becoming an elementary teacher, and athletics was just something that had always been a part of my life, and it was a passion that I had for sports. And that's when it really hit me that I wanted to be a coach in high school and continue on with the games that I loved and the sports that I loved. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to still stay in Northside. When I was in college, Lisa Dowson and Kirby Jameson were key people that got me into this district. I called volleyball lines for varsity games, and that was kind of an in for me to get in. So I did get a job right out of college, working here at Taft High School. It was just something that I was really passionate about. So I started coaching volleyball. I was the freshman volleyball coach and the assistant softball coach, and did that for about 5 years, and I did get the head job for softball, and then later I became the assistant athletic coordinator here. So it's been something that's been pretty fun. I really enjoy my job. I love where I work. I love the people that I work with. I love the kids that I get to work with. It's just something that has really been an amazing experience for me so far. Some of the key experiences, memorable experiences that I had growing up, one of the best memories I have in high school was going to the state tournament in softball my senior year. It was an experience that I'll never forget. I learned a lot that year. I had some amazing people around me, some good coaches, some supportive teachers. Okay, so we went to state my senior year. It was a memorable experience. It was, athletics alone I built a lot of relationships with a lot of people. It taught me a lot about commitment, a lot about, having pride in your school, having pride in what you do.
Hi, my name is Hannah Fields Heiligman. I am 24 years old. I'm currently pursuing a degree in physician assistant studies at UT Health San Antonio. I am a graduate from O'Connor High School. I graduated in 2012 and played volleyball and softball. Going back to elementary school, I went to St. Luke Catholic School. I went there from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade, and then I went to O'Connor, and then I went to St. Mary's University here in San Antonio for my undergraduate degree, where I got a degree in chemistry with a minor in biology and mathematics, and then am now pursuing my degree in physician assistant studies. So for my most memorable moments of high school and really just athletics overall in general, was growing up, having a mom as a coach and a supportive family that always attended my games and was always there, but then also the coaches along the way. You know, everyone talks about how you have that one coach that made this impact in your life. Well, for me, it was several coaches, and in particularly the coaches that I had throughout my high school career. Coach Amy Garcia, Coach Shepner, Coach Lewis, Coach Garza, Coach Vav, and Coach Driffel, and all the other O'Connor coaches, and particularly all the Northside coaches. I mean, it's a huge family here in Northside. But one thing in particular for me is the coaches at O'Connor, yes, they wanted us to compete. They wanted us to do good then and now. But they also were worried about our success in the future and where we were going to go from there and on after high school, after we finished here at O'Connor. They wanted us to grow as individuals. And for me, they always instilled that us in our practice. They always wanted the best from us. And they always told us to believe in ourselves, believe in one another, believe in the team, believe in the name across your chest and for what you're playing for.
Hello, I'm Doug Ferris. I retired in 2003, and I served as in the athletic office from 1989 until 2003. And I never took Carl Gustafson's place, only took his position. Nobody could ever take Carl's place. But I grew up in Northwest Arkansas when I was a little kid. We didn't do very good in farming, and my dad took bad health after the war, and we actually left there looking for work, and I was going to be a fifth grader, and we just spent about 5 months in a pickup truck looking for work, and it was about 2 weeks after Labor Day, and we were coming back through New Mexico. We'd gone through Oklahoma and Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Came back through a town called Carlsbad, New Mexico. Had some potash mines, and my dad saw a school bus, and he said, I think school has started, so we need to stop and get you in school. So we stopped and rented a place so I could have a residence, and I started 5th grade there. Played everything growing up, played all sports growing up in Carlsbad. It was a high school about the size of the east and north side. Integrated, New Mexico was integrated. So I grew up with black kids. Of course, I grew up with a lot of Hispanic kids, and played everything. And then went on to the University of Arkansas on a track scholarship. Got injured in the late spring at the Southwest Conference meet. Came back in the fall, never did overcome it. Quit college, went home, get a job in a potash mine. And one of my high school coaches found out that I'd quit college. Got a hold of me and told me I'd never quit anything. I just changed, and told me that the coach had offered me a football scholarship at Eastern New Mexico. Still had it for me. So I transferred there, and I played football my last 3 years in college, and got a degree in secondary science, and that's what I did. I taught biology, I taught physics, I taught chemistry, and then I got into coaching. As an assistant coach, first coaching job I was at, the head coach got fired, we all got fired, moved to another town, and stayed there for a year, moved down to Odessa, and worked for a great guy. And he got fired, we all got fired, and the new coach hired me, and I stayed there as an assistant coach to him, mainly because of my teaching field. And about 3 years later, he got out of the business, and they hired me. So I got fired at Odessa High, and I got the head coaching job 3 years later. So that was a strange deal. They called it Odessa Regular and called Odessa Premium across town. And everybody had heard of Odessa Permian. But I really didn't have plans to leave, and I got a call from Jack Jordan one day and asked me if I'd be interested in coming to John Marshall High School. And he told me all about the school, and then I had some friends that told me I was just a little tired after 6 years of playing against Permian, Abilene, Cooper, Midland Lee, Abilene High, San Angelo Central. Not that our kids didn't play hard and act right, but only one team got in the playoff, and 4 or 5 of the best teams in the state were in our district. So I came down to Marshall. Through the years, I guess I never really thought I'd be anything but a coach. I love being around coaches. I love being around kids. Love being around school teachers. And for all you folks out there who are school teachers, you know, you were the, probably to a lot of kids, you were the one that gave them the encouragement to go on when they didn't get it at home. You were the major influence in their life. Many of the people who we have in the school business today chose to be in the school business because of the people who taught them. Whether you taught kindergarten or you taught all the way through high school, your influence on kids was just the same. Maybe even more so at the early grades. I know. I coached a lot of kids that came out of government housing. I still get phone calls from kids that are 60 years old that just every once in a while would just call you. But we in the school business, we don't back up to anybody as far as doing what it takes to make this a better place to live. We live in a country that's a great country, and school teachers make what it is. Public school teachers are the ones.